Dispelling the illusion number 9. The all or nothing. The black and white. The me versus you. The good versus evil. And all the other duality concepts. They are man-made concepts. Now, what is going on in terms of, individualism versus collective? We belong to this entity called the Spirit. Some people call it the Holy Spirit, some people call it the Great Spirit, and that is what we are. We are spirit. Now, spirit is very elusive because it doesn't really belong to anything. It's free. That's why they call it a free spirit. Now, when the spirit starts dreaming, it starts creating different scenarios, different dream frames. And these dream frames start getting memorialized within this matrix of the mind that eventually becomes the matrix of the matter. And it turns from intelligence, natural intelligence, into artificial intelligence, because it gets shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, copied and copied and copied, and that's how that goes. Now, you have your mind, and in your mind you are you, right? So there's a sense of individualism, and that individualism is very real. Now you also have a soul connection, and that soul is the collective soul. So you belong to a collective as well as an individualism. That's why I've always liked the expression all for one and one for all, because the answer to everything is yes and no, both and neither. So you see the sign of the cross, yes and no, left to right, and both and neither. So now technically you are somewhere at the center of that cross, right in the center, smack in the middle of it, because you are the everything that is also nothing. But anyways, so you have these three centers. You have your mind, in which you're an individual. You have the soul, in which you are collective. That's in your belly button area, basically. The word Baal actually means this all or nothing androgynous entity, God, that some called Satan. Anyways, but basically your belly button, your belly button is right in the middle, smack, and that's where your soul connection comes through. That's your solar stargate, so to speak. And your heart is somewhere in between those two, because the feelings and emotions and everything kind of gravitate. It's almost like 50 shades of gray between your mind and your soul, between the me and the us, between the me versus the us, and the us together and the me apart, and the feelings kind of go back and forth and almost fetch these experiences. They activate these experiences, because if your soul so-called yearns for something, and the heart starts mediating between the soul and tells the mind to create an experience, the mind creates an experience, and what the mind creates, the soul needs to approve, and the heart kind of goes back and forth. You see what I'm saying? The heart is like a messenger between me and us, between the mind and the soul. See how that works? It's really, really simple. And the soul actually contains all three in one, because you have the S, which is the free spirit, you have the O or the circle, which is the heart, and then you have the I or the L, which is the mind. And that's how it goes. Now, when we started immortalizing and memorializing experiences, we went really, really far between creating a dream into I think that's my friend, creating a dream into creating a nightmare that is just very rigid. It does not have any more soul connection. Um, I'm trying to give an example. Okay, so you are yearning for an experience, okay? Something within you is a little bit off balance, and you're not technically 100% at peace. So something tipped you, and you need an experience in order to re-tip it back. And your heart kind of goes, ooh, she needs love. So then your mind creates an experience of, a beautiful stranger that you fall in love with. Now, all is great until the soul starts kicking in, and the soul kind of goes, something's just not right about this guy. Something's just not right about this experience. And then you start cross-checking things with your soul and kind of go back and forth. That's why a lot of us takes, a few times to break up with somebody, because it's a constant back and forth between the soul and the mind. And the heart's kind of like in between, like a gopher going, I love this guy, I hate this guy, something's not right. Just you are almost like a constant. You are like the entire DreamWorks industry. You are the producer that provides the funds, which is the loosh, the attention, the spirit energy, and you are also the creator. I'm not sure what the proper term is. The author of the experience. That's your mind, and then you have the feelings, which is basically not only the audience of the movie that you're producing, but it's also the people that kind of vote for it. Like, this experience is sort of good, but not sort of something not right about it, and things like that. So you are technically the entire film industry all in one. And then you're memorializing these dreams, these thoughts. And the more you run a certain kind of thought, the more you activate it with your attention, the more alive it becomes. And like I said, it turns from being a dream into an actual experience, because you are code. And the more you run this code by all these centers within you, the more you create a code entanglement, which becomes an even more dense reality, so to speak. And we all do this, all of us. Now, the reason why a lot of people around you are not as aware of all of this, they're not in tune with their feelings. Do you see? You have to be in tune. If you dissect that word, it probably runs a lot deeper than what you're aware of. But you're tuning your mind to your soul. That's what your feelings are there for. I always said that nothing is real except the experience. The only thing that is real is your feelings. Other than that, there's nothing real. Nothing. Now there are, so I'm going to step outside the universal view, and I'm going to pretend I'm a human. Okay, so when I look around me, I see a lot of people that look like me, but they are very limited. They are limited in their mind. Everything is mind. And when you're in your mind, you have a master. I always said that. And when you're in your soul, you're in balance. But when you're in your mind, you're constantly in a state of fear, because you're justifying, you're rationalizing, you're constantly running things. It's almost like you become Rain Man. Like, who's on first, what's on second? Your mind is constantly revving and revving and revving and revving. And if you are not grounded in your soul, in that connection that balances everything out in the universe, then you're basically just revving. And that's what you see around you. People around you are just revving. They're running idle. If you ever had a car that was running idle, it's really frustrating, because it feels like you're going somewhere, but you're not going anywhere. And that's what a lot of people are doing that. But the reason why they're doing that, and this is the greatest illusion of all, is that there's no such thing as death. And so when somebody dies, so to speak, they get cloned, they get replicated. And when you get replicated, you start losing that information, and you also start losing the connection to soul source, because the replication only happens of the mind and the body. It doesn't happen of the soul. So there's you can't replicate the soul, because their soul is technically only one. We all belong to it. So when you decide to step outside of the balance of the natural balance of the universe, and you start doing artificial man-made shenanigans, you disconnect yourself from soul source. Now, granted, like my kid says, hey, if my clone's gonna do this over and over again, why not just go ahead and ensure that the next time around I'm gonna be, quote, Illuminati rich. And that's what he wants to do. That's his thing. I don't dictate what my children do. But there are people that have done that. Now, here's the trick. If you're preparing to be really wealthy and powerful, here's the catch. There's only a limited amount of loosh in the universe, because the loosh is the soul, remember? So you can't really replicate the soul. So technically, money is a material expression, a material duplication of the soul. So that is a limited amount as well. You see the catch there? So technically, you can become rich and powerful, but it's all fake. It's monopoly money, technically. Actually, it's funny. That's a really great way of explaining it. It's monopoly money. You're monopolizing, but it's funny money. It's not real. It's not backed by loosh. And loosh is the spice of the universe. They show that, I think it's a movie, what was that, Dune? All they're doing is just chasing spice in the universe. Because spice is technically spirit. It's a play on words. So, yeah. So technically that's what you're doing. There is no such thing as all or nothing. So if people think that there is all or nothing, then they just forgot. They forgot. They lost their connection to soul source, to home. They show that in the movie, I can't remember the name of that series, where those people get cloned when they die, and the further away they move from the fountain in the main square or whatever in town, the further they move away from the fountain, the weaker they get. And that's exactly what most people are doing right now. They have moved away from their soul center, which is within them, just like it is within you, and they've gone into their mind. So you're completely off balance, and that's why a lot of people are in a state of dis-ease, and that's why a lot of death happens, because this is going to be another episode here, but death is also an illusion. So you're tipping the balance between your mortal and your immortal when you do shenanigans like that. And that's the reason why a lot of people have to start getting back into, looshing other people, either directly or indirectly, because they lose. See? Lose. It's loosh without the H, and H is spirit or breath of life. See, all of this ties in together, because the universe, it's all just a dream, but this dream is in a program, computer type pattern, and all these things have meaning and symbols within the material. Now once you step outside the material, you don't really have any meaning, because once you go into the realm of feelings are elusive. Elusive. You see that? You're just delushing. So it all ties in together. We left ourselves breadcrumbs with phonetics and language because, that's our way home. Because we're all in this together. So you see how it goes? One for all and all for one. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this talk as well. Give me some feedback. Stay in peace, in Lakash.